I, for one, welcome our AI overlords, especially their assistants fighting wildfires in Colorado.
The AI cameras noticed the fire just before the 911s began to hit.
Developers made a big bet on the Park Hill Golf Course and lost. Tonight, we look at what they got in return for giving the city the land for a park. It's another piece of property they can't develop.
These properties have value in what they're going to be, not in what they are.
Voters in Colorado Springs legalized recreational marijuana. Conservative city leaders think they were just confused. And butts in seats sent a pretty strong message last weekend.
We want hockey here and women's hockey here.
That would be goals. And it's next. AI is eliminating jobs left and right. It'll anchor this newscast eventually. You'll know it's AI when the plaid jackets turn to plain and nothing said here ever gives powerful people heartburn. But until then, AI is being put to good use in our state, preventing destructive wildfires. Marshall Zellinger looks at what's possible.
Campfires that are not put out properly look like this the next day. This time-lapse of an escaped campfire last July was captured by one of these AI cameras near Breckenridge.
The AI cameras noticed the fire just before the 911s began to hit.
The video detection of this fire, with homes just a wind gust away, helped Matthew Benedict and Red, White, and Blue Fire in ways a 911 call may not be able to.
We could see where the fire was, and we knew which roads got us there.
We use a combination of artificial intelligence and human intelligence to differentiate between smoke and other phenomenon like dust or clouds or foliage.
Sonia Kastner co-founded Pano AI, which has 66 cameras in Colorado for 3 fire stations and 4 utility companies, including Xcel and Core Electric. In Douglas County, an AI camera caught the smoke that would become the Bear Creek fire on U.S. Forest Service land.
It was not road accessible. 40 firefighters needed to hike in from the U.S. Forest Service to access that fire.
That fire was in such a remote area, this map was the best footage we could provide viewers the night of the fire.
Right now, we only have it in certain areas, in the more affluent areas in the mountains.
Democratic State Senator Lindsay Doherty is the main sponsor of a bill to get the state to set aside $6 million over the next 3 years to partner with private companies to get more wildfire detection cameras.
Certainly, the state has to make some really serious decisions, and I'm hoping that this is a decision that's a no-brainer.
Our typical pricing is $50,000 per location.
I think it's $50,000 that's well spent. I can get behind having more of them.
In a year when the state has to cut $1 billion from the budget, you'd think this is a bill that's dead from the moment it was printed. Turns out, the bill recommends paying for the camera partnership with money from what's known as the Unused State-Owned Property Fund. Huh? Unused state-owned property? It's apparently where money goes from the sale, lease, or rent of unused state-owned property.
Yeah, no, I figured that's what it was, Marshall, because that's what it's called. I still have no idea what that means and how much money we're talking.
Is AI taking over this show anytime soon? It had $15 million transferred into the fund when it was created, not from the sale, lease, or renting of the unused property. It just started with $15 million in the fund. I don't know how much is in it currently, but I'm told there has not been a sale, lease, or renting of property currently, so $15 million is my guess at the moment.
Well, we all learned something together. What a journey. Marshall Zellinger, thank you. The largest apartment management complex in America is facing a new lawsuit in Colorado, claiming that company is illegally hiding fees from potential tenants. In a federal lawsuit filed today, the Federal Trade Commission and Colorado's Democratic Attorney General Phil Weiser said that Greystar is advertising deceptively low rental prices, then tacking on hundreds of dollars in mandatory fees. Stuff like valet trash service, various amenities, pest control. The lawsuit claims customers are often unaware of the fees until they have already paid their non-refundable application fee and gotten a lease. Weiser says deceptive pricing violates Colorado law. Greystar is one of the largest rental companies in Colorado. The lawsuit estimates they've got about 45,000 units here. The company was also recently named in a lawsuit accusing them of colluding with other landlords to fix rent prices. Greystar denied this accusation. Knives out, they accused the outgoing Biden administration of just trying to make headlines. Meanwhile, Uber's trying to block another one of Colorado's price transparency laws. Late last week, the company sued to overturn state laws that require clear disclosures on how much Uber drivers get paid and tipped. Two new state laws require rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft to disclose to riders how much their payment, including the tip, actually goes to your driver instead of going to service fees. Currently, that information is only available in the receipt after you pay the driver. The new state law also requires that drivers get clear information about trip distance and time before they accept a job. Uber's lawsuit says that would violate their right to free speech as a company because that would make them share stuff they don't want to share. The city of Denver is making plans for its fourth largest park after striking a deal to get the former Park Hill golf course. The developers who hope to make bank filling that land with housing were blocked by a voter initiative, so they accepted a land swap instead. Our Evan Krugel looks at what they got.
The first rule of real estate is location, location, location. But the value of a property involves much more than simply where it is.
It's also timing, timing, timing.
Jeff Pashut teaches real estate at MSU Denver, but decades before that, he was involved in negotiations for the Park Hill golf course.
Well, it's sad to see what's happened to the property. I mean, it's been laying fallow since 2019.
That's the year Westside Investment Partners bought this 155-acre property with hopes of developing it. After more legal battles than we can fit in one news story, they agreed Wednesday to trade the property to the city of Denver in exchange for 145 acres of Denver-owned land south of the airport. In addition to size, the properties share something else in common: zoning codes that make building on them a no-no.
When it comes to real estate, it's not just owning the land, it's what can you do with the land.
This might turn out to be the best deal they ever made, or it might turn out to be the worst deal they ever made. We don't know that, and it's really not our problem.
Jeff Ingolstad teaches real estate at DU and says Westside likely made the deal to at least get something out of a property that was turning into nothing. The property near the airport is valued at roughly half what Westside paid for the golf course in 2019.
The ability to do anything on a piece of property is better than just having something that you can't do anything with at all. These properties have value in what they're going to be, not in what they are.
Both professors say they're hopeful it's a win-win-win, a chance to move forward by restoring life to this property with a chance for development at another.
But I'll tell you, I think it's good news because it's a way to solve the problem.
You know, it's really been call it a 40-year story that is finally, coming to a close.
Denver City Council still has to approve all of this, and Adams County will have to provide a zoning change for that land out near the airport in order for it to be developed. At this point, it's unclear when that will happen. That essentially means if Westside can't get that zoning changed, they just paid a lot of money for a plot of grass with a really good view of a runway.
Jeez, if they get stoned again. So what's Adams County's role in all this, right? Because eventually they're going to have to weigh in on this. If you or I sold land in Adams County, we wouldn't call the county and tell them we're selling land, but we're also not a fellow county.
Right, and it's unclear if Westside has reached any sort of agreement with Adams County yet. We reached out to Westside today to ask that question. What have you been told you'll be able to do with this property? Crickets on that response yesterday and today. So that's the big thing that hinges here is what will Adams County allow them to do, if anything, on that property? That'll decide ultimately who wins this deal.
I'm thinking if Westside could go another 10 years without having to answer reporter questions, they would be very, very happy. They've been in it for a couple of years. Yeah. All right, Evan, thank you.
You bet.
Colorado Springs City Council wants a redo of November's election because voters approved legalizing recreational marijuana in the city, and some city leaders think that voters were just confused. They couldn't possibly want legal weed in the Springs. Recreational marijuana sales have been banned in the Springs since they became legal around the state in 2014. But in November, Springs voters approved a plan to allow existing medical marijuana shops to apply for recreational licenses. City council members have been fighting against the efforts to legalize recreational pot sales. In September, they passed a new rule requiring all the recreational shops be at least a mile away from schools and treatment facilities. City Council repealed the mile buffer rule this week, but now they want to go back to the ballot in April. Just to double check that voters really did want to legalize recreational cannabis. Critics on council say this is pretty transparent. It's a strategy to get a redo in a lower turnout election when more of the voters are likely to be older and more conservative.
The previous vote, I think, was confused. And I think it really could have had the impact that something passed that the majority of citizens don't really support. So my recommendation will be that we check one more time, because this is significant change to our city.
I am so opposed to the presupposition that we will overturn, put a ballot initiative on to repeal a vote of the people in November, when in fact you all are very correct. It is a very low turnout in April.
Could you imagine if that's how it actually worked? If stuff passed and they could just put it back up to be like, are you sure? Wolves, right? If this goes through, it's going to be on the ballot April 1st. After wrapping up one of the warmest years on record, Colorado is bracing for a frigid cold weekend.
If we want women's sports here in Denver, then we need to show them that we're going to pay for it.
And they showed up over the weekend. That's next. This weekend, when we're shivering, we'll think back on warmer times. Meteorologist Chris Bianchi says the state's average temperature last year was 47.6 degrees. That is about 3 degrees above average. Colorado's fourth warmest year on record, Denver's third warmest year on record. And when we talk about on record, those are the official records in Colorado that go back to 1895. Kathy Saban, this is a relatively warm day today. Tomorrow, bottom drops out.
We almost broke a record, Kyle, at 61 degrees. The average high is 44, and that record was 64. Hard to believe in January we can see temperatures like this, but usually when it happens, well, you know something's coming. Right now, we got a lot of traffic out there, but no weather issues. We started at 25 degrees, warmed way above average. We'll be in the mid-40s tomorrow, but we're going to go into the deep freeze over the next couple of days. The temperature spread from 61 today to about -8 on Monday morning. You're going to feel that. We're down to 49 at the airport right now. And the cold front, that Arctic front, is coming in 2 waves. The first tomorrow night, secondary wave Saturday into Sunday. Temperatures over the weekend will stay in the teens with lows -5 to -10. Wind chill values will be a factor. Got to remember to layer up when you're out, and remember the pets, and please check the pipes just to be safe. This is the system to the north here. It won't be here until tomorrow afternoon. Winter weather advisory starts for Denver at 4 p.m. 3 to 6 inches of snow by early on Sunday. We have a dry night tonight, clouds by midday, snow by about 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Snow picks up tomorrow night, continues Saturday, and then the cold is just going to settle in. So that snow and ice won't go anywhere. A couple inches of snow initially, another inch or so possible later in the weekend. Temperatures are comfortable for now, but we're headed for the deep freeze as we'll look for highs in the mid-40s tomorrow, teens Saturday, Sunday, Monday, with overnight low temperatures -5 to -10 and a wind chill value of 20 to 30 below. We don't get above freezing until the middle of next week.
The best part about getting your Colorado vehicle emissions test to protect the environment is when you sit there waiting, idling for 45 minutes, furiously polluting the air before the guy waves you up into the bay for your emissions test. A new rule approved by state regulators today will allow for 24/7 self-testing kiosks to cut down on the wait times and the pollution. Colorado began requiring drivers to get emissions tests in high polluted areas, noted there on the map, back in the 1990s. That was to comply with federal standards. But the system hasn't been expanded since then, nor has that image changed. It's not clear where the money for the new testing sites came from, but regulators are also considering bumping up the test price, $25 to $35.
Those little girls being at that game in that moment, they'll remember that for the rest of their lives.
What a moment for hockey fans in Denver as women's pro teams came to town. Fans think there's a real chance this could become more than a one-time event. And hey, a reminder, if you enjoy this program but can't stand looking at my face, we're now a podcast. Get us wherever you find your podcasts. Love Kim Christensen. She's awesome. Some of Colorado's best hockey talent is going out of state to go pro, since women don't have the option to play pro here, which is why it was so special when the Professional Women's Hockey League came to town last weekend.
This whole time, we've always known if we build it, people will come, and I think filling up these NHL arenas is proof of that.
Littleton's own Nicole Hensley knows the importance of being able to see your future in the pros. She's now living that dream. The Minnesota Frost goalie also saw Coloradans show up big time Sunday night when the PWHL Takeover Tour came to Ball Arena. Fans showed up 14,000 strong, breaking the league's U.S. attendance record. 14,018 fans, to be exact.
So
took a lot of photos.
Well, only like 3. I don't know who this child is, but it had the best time.
I'm looking for some photos from the game.
I bullied all of my friends to buying tickets to see the PWHL play the Takeover Tour here in Denver.
Today, the Professional Women's Hockey League takes over Ball Arena.
So it was the Montreal Victory and the Minnesota Frost. Professional Women's Hockey League, PWHL, has come up with this concept of like these takeover tours where they're taking the PWHL on the road.
And they're looking for expansion zones.
The big thing of note at the game was that Denver broke the attendance record for amount of people going to a professional women's hockey game in the United States.
14,018.
Today, 14,018 people in attendance for this.
Probably one of the more special moments was to finally hear the announcement and then, like a crowd break out into this natural chant of like, we want a team.
We want a team. We want a team from like one corner, and it like spread across everywhere, and we were just like, yeah!
It was fun to be a part of breaking that kind of record and knowing that, showing up to support these sports like actually does mean something.
It kind of tells those little girls who are thinking about this as a dream that we're going to be there for them too, right? Like it's not a one-time deal. It's we want a team because we want to keep seeing it. We want to make sure there's space for you. Your body belongs here. You deserve to be here.
And to hear kind of Denver say, yeah, we want that to be you. We want a team here. We want to continue building on this and have those opportunities for you, I think was really like special.
Yeah,
it was a very
good
game.
game. I was hoping we would get overtime.
So we asked the folks in charge of the league if that big turnout might help get a women's pro hockey team to Denver. They said there are a lot of things to consider, right? You got venue availability, you've got the strength of youth and girls hockey in the area, but community interest is a factor that they consider. We are back with your feedback. So right now what's happening is Marilyn is over there swinging a hockey stick, which you can't see on camera. This whole gag has come apart terribly. You can't see her. She's furiously swinging a hockey stick at a piece of feedback off camera. Unknown to you. Oh, she's throwing it now. This has gone very badly. Oh, there we go. As long as I don't get the stick. We're back next. Hi there. Pat writes in, if Colorado Springs can have a redo of their election, why can't we have a redo of the presidential election? Well, Pat, because redoing an election just because you don't like the result is loser behavior. And Americans, we aren't losers. Nina says, just want to thank you for your show. Kind of blurs the line between news and a late night talk show. Yours is my favorite show. Keep up the great work. Well, that's very nice, Nina. And this from Craig, who says, long time in the cattle business here. Sorry, every time you say AI, I immediately think artificial insemination. Yeah, Craig, no. I'm going to get replaced by AI, artificial intelligence. If I'm replaced by artificial insemination, shame on my boss.